So, Dune 2. We should probably start talking about it. It's all right. It's an all right movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen better.
So we talked about this before recording, but we were like, you were like, we really need to get our thoughts together because anytime a movie that's like of this magnitude, we just talk about how good it is and we don't really go into detail. And we had an extra week to think about it because we were sick, and I was like, dude, every time I think about an aspect of it, I just go, it's just so fucking good. Like words cannot even. I'll try to articulate, but it is it's everyone involved in a project firing at all cylinders. Mm-hmm. The top men doing top shit. If
top
you look
men
down,
doing top men things.
Yeah, if you look down the line of just everyone involved in Dune and Dune 2, it is some of the best in the industry. Hans Zimmer, one of the best composers.
The best.
Fucking the best for me.
Yeah.
But just an absolute fucking animal doing the score. And it's incredible. It's wild. I listen to it when I shouldn't. I'll put it on at work. Whatever. You know?
Dude, I've been listening like crazy to the Dune 2.
I was pulling wire today, and I had to pause Ornithopter Attack, I think is the name of the track. I had to pause that to get on the radio and be like, hey, fucking feed that shit. And then I played it again, and fucking pulled it through.
Absolutely ridiculous score.
Insane. Hans Zimmer he's a madman.
He's the fucking man.
Someone lock him up.
No getting around it.
He needs to stop walking around like he's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
That's the end of that.
Yeah. So, where do you even fucking start with something like this? So, for me, this movie has been getting great reception from the masses. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves it. Most people love it. It's getting great box office numbers right now. The opening weekend was basically the exact same as Oppenheimer's, which Oppenheimer made almost $1 billion. So that's great news if it's got the legs and it keeps going. But apparently it already doubled Dune's box office, like opening week box office.
Jeez.
Which I guess isn't that crazy because Dune had a same day HBO Max release. But the word of mouth for this is crazy. People that don't even like movies are going to see it because everyone's just heard about it. So it's making a ton of money, and there are some people in the film community that aren't like as crazy about it as others. But for me, it's a 5-star, and I think it's one of the best sequels ever made. It's one of the best science fiction movies ever made, and it's becoming just like one of my favorite movies, which seems crazy, but Dune was already one of my favorite movies. Dune was my number 5 favorite movie ever, and this is just as good, if not better. So do the math there. It's not that crazy to think that it's one of my favorite movies ever. And while we're talking about that, there's been a lot of discussion about like, is Dune better than Star Wars? And is Paul a better character than Anakin Skywalker and all that shit? I mean, I know how I feel about it, but...
No, the answer's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but the point I'm trying to bring up is I've heard a lot of people say, like, the recency bias is crazy for Dune. And I would argue that recency bias is like it goes both ways, and some people, recency bias can be a thing, and it can be like there's something that's new and exciting and people are way more into it at the time than they will be in a year, and they're hyping it up just because it's new and it's fresh. But it can also be people think that older movies are like grandfathered in and that nothing can top them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is possible for things to come out and be better than other great things.
Yeah.
When Lord of the Rings came out, that was new. That was a new thing. In 2001, when Fellowship of the Ring came out, that was a new movie, just like Dune 2 is right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people consider that better than Star Wars. I'd consider it a lot better. So
I've heard a lot of people ask me if I think it's better than Star Wars. I don't know why. And I'm going to let you guys know right now. I genuinely am always shocked at how big the Star Wars fan base is.
It's one of the worst fan bases there is.
When you watch Star Wars, I would watch through Star Wars. I would not expect as many people to be so attached to those movies.
It's because a lot of kids grow up with them and they think that they're like untouchable. Like you grow up. I'm sure maybe that would have happened to me too. If I grew up with them when I was 8 watching Star Wars, sure, maybe I'd have a bunch of Star Wars shit in my room and think it's the best thing ever. But that didn't happen. I watched them as an adult, and I think most of them aren't really that good. I don't really have a big love for Star Wars.
I watched them when I was young enough to have that connection with them. I don't have a single Star Wars movie at a 5-star. I don't think there's a single perfect Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And like the prequels are, to me, they're pretty bad. But let's say you like the prequels. The sequels, I feel like, are universally hated.
Yeah.
And all the recent Star Wars stuff that's still coming out is bad. But somehow people still love Star Wars. It still puts asses in seats. Like the Star Wars to me is an enigma on why people love it so much. Like there's people like I would never expect this person to like Star Wars. Its fan base is so massive for like what feels like no reason. It's insane. But yeah, Dune 1 is better than anything that Star Wars could ever like come up with. I can tell you that.
I mean, I would agree, but I just don't feel like, I don't know. I don't really know if it's even worth like arguing about if Dune's better than Star Wars, if Dune's better than Lord of the Rings. Like, it's all personal preference, and it all has a lot to do with if you grew up with it, if you have an emotional connection to it, blah, blah, blah. Dune is my favorite, like, science fiction franchise.
Yeah.
And, that's how I feel about it. I don't have a ton of love for Star Wars. I think Lord of the Rings is great, and I do love those movies, but I prefer Dune. And, but my point of bringing it all up is that I think that recency bias goes both ways, and that a lot of people don't want to admit something's better just because it's new. And it's like, there's no way a new movie is better than something really old that's great. And it's like, at one point, those old movies were new movies.
Yeah.
Like, it is possible for things to come out and be better. So they're not grandfathered in. If you don't think it's better, that's fine. But, I mean, I just feel like people are so one-dimensional with recency bias, and they always talk about it like people are acting like Dune 2 is better than it is. But it's like, maybe it's just one of the best movies ever, and people are recognizing it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, regardless of where you stand on like, oh, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Dune, the big picture thing is that this is happening right now.
Yeah.
Dune is like, I haven't had something like this, with the exception of like the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones. But I still I don't think I watched Rise in theaters, and I don't think I watched any of them in theaters. They kind of like slid under the radar because Planet of the Apes wasn't like a property that I really cared a ton about. But the movies are fantastic. So this is like the first big sci-fi, just world-dominating trilogy that I've gotten since like The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like every 20 years the world gets like a huge science fiction trilogy that dominates pop culture. And in the 70s and 80s it was Star Wars, and then in the early 2000s it was Lord of the Rings, and now we're getting Dune.
Yeah.
And I mean, God forbid people get excited about it. and we have blockbusters with huge budgets and huge casts, and they're actually quality movies and not just goop, not just conveyor belt corporate goop.
Yeah.
They're movies with incredible artists behind them that spend a lot of time on the details and ironing things out and having layered storytelling and foreshadowing and just such a breath of fresh air in terms of blockbusters, because we never really get stuff like this.
Yeah. And I love seeing that Oppenheimer blew out the box office. Dune 2's blown out the box office. Keep them coming. Mm-hmm. I would have never expected Oppenheimer, like a biopic, to do as well as it did.
Yeah.
I know I find that very interesting, but to the masses, I didn't
It's crazy how much it made.
Yeah. That's like the average person I would not expect to want to go watch an Oppenheimer movie, but it blew up. Dune's blown up. Keep them fucking coming, dude.
Yeah. And as mad as I was at the time about the delay, I think it was for the best for them to delay it. For obviously the Oscar stuff, it'll probably help. There'll probably be less competition this year in terms of Oscars, but just for the box office, it was supposed to come out, I think, October 22nd or something like October or November, and that would have been like a couple months after Barbenheimer. And a lot of normal people, not like us, probably only see like 1 or 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
And they probably wouldn't have gone to see Dune 2 coming off of Barbenheimer. Like that was their movie moment of the year. And them pushing Dune 2 back to be basically the first good movie of this year with no competition, like, really, I think was a smart move. And is really going to help the box office, which inevitably will help Dune Messiah get made, even though I don't think that that's, like... I was listening to an interview today, and Denis said Legendary and Warner Brothers basically told him, like, no matter how Dune 1 does at the box office, like, he showed Dune 1 to the executives when it was done, and they said, no matter how good this does at the box office, we're gonna, like, you can make part 2 because this is awesome.
Yeah.
And we're gonna let you finish your vision. So I don't know why their attitude towards it, him and Dune, would change now from going from 1 to 2 to 2 to Messiah.
Yeah.
You would think they'd have the same outlook because Dune Part 2 is at least up to par with the first one.
Yeah.
So I think Dune Messiah is just getting made, and the question is, like, is he going to go right back into Dune and finish it now, or is he going to do another movie first and then go back to Dune Messiah?
Yeah.
Because he said the script's almost done, so he could certainly, just start working on it and pump it out, but that's a different discussion.
I think Denis at a point where he can just walk into a place and be like, hey, I'm going to make this, and they'll be like, yeah, Denis, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he is. He's the fucking man.
Here's a blank check.
Yeah.
You take your cute face and you make something.
So, yeah, I guess we can just start random thoughts. I have a bunch of notes. I've been trying to... I don't want to take notes during a movie because that just feels rude to have my phone out during a movie. And I'm also, if I'm taking notes, I'm missing stuff.
Yeah.
So I've tried to just, like, anytime I think of something in my head, I write it down. Like, I want to bring that up. But first things first, the opening scene is fucking awesome.
Dude.
One of my favorite opening scenes in recent memory.
Yeah. That's something I was going to talk about is from start to finish, this movie, Dune 2, feels like it feels so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much going on. It almost like drains you.
Yeah.
It's almost like, holy fuck, dude.
And see, that's some people's problems. Like, if people do have problems with Dune 2, most of it is like pacing and having too much going on too fast. So
I like it. I like experiencing it. That's what the characters are feeling, and I'm feeling it.
See, that's kind of how I'm a big pacing person. I think pacing's really important, but when you I don't know, like, apparently some people had trouble getting emotionally invested in the story, and the payoff at the end doesn't really work for them because the first 3/4 of the movie felt too rushed for them, which just isn't the experience I have with it. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's a pretty crammed movie, and there's a lot of really dense material happening, but when you have, it's almost like complaining that there's too much good stuff in a movie for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying those people are wrong. If that's like the way you experienced the movie and you thought it was too rushed, like that's a valid, criticism, but I'm just saying for me, it wasn't a negative impact for me. It's like a holy shit, this is awesome. Like, it's moving so fast. And also, I don't feel like the first act really moves that fast. I think the first act's actually pretty slow, which is maybe why some people feel like the second half is, too fast, is because maybe the pacing's uneven.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
The first half, you spend a lot of time, like, you get a lot of intimate moments with Paul and the Fremen, and him and Shani. And then the second half's very, like, Getty Prime, and you're doing this, and then you jump into Lady Fenring, and you have all this shit going on. But for me, it didn't bother me negatively. For me, it's just like every scene is awesome. Yeah. Is how kind of I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't think for me it's not like the pacing. It's just the stakes of everything is so like immense. Everything that goes on is so huge.
Because we got a whole first movie of setup.
Yeah,
and I love Dune, and I think it stands on its own very well, but it is setup. Like it's not a complete story. So getting to Dune 2 and you don't have to really introduce characters, really, like one or two characters you have to introduce, and everything else is just being carried over from the first movie, and you get to just go straight into storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fucking gnarly. And the opening scene is incredible. I love the orange, like, sunset look it has.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really look like that for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, they had a double eclipse in the sky.
Yeah.
And you could see, it pans up the sun on Arrakis, and there's like two planets that's like kind of halved the sun in like this double crescent.
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
It's kind of like a knife or something.
Yeah. Kind of looks like a batarang.
Shouldn't have told me that.
I know. Be looking for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, the opening scene is Paul with the Fremen in the desert. This is right after part 1. Like, instantly after part 1. There's been no time passed. And then the Harkonnens are hunting down the rest of the Fremen. And absolutely ridiculous sound design. The Harkonnens float down from their ship.
That
insane.
Will never not be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I love how it's silent too.
Yeah.
Like, it's always, they did it in the first movie. It's them hovering down, but it's silent, and it's so fucking movie, creepy.
They drop down and he's got the fucking sword out beside him.
Yeah.
Fucking disgusting, dude. Don't fucking do that to me.
Yeah,
God
so
bless.
The Harkonnens, they show up, and you get this shot. The Fremen are carrying Jamas's body because it's right after part 1, and they need to take it back to Siege Tabra, and so they're carrying his body, and they have to leave it there to like run away because the Harkonnens show up, and then you get this shot of like Jamas's body at the bottom of the frame, and then the Harkonnens like up at the top of the dune. Like, slowly walking down. And God, it looks so fucking awesome,
the
dude.
Stark, like, these black, like, huge suits on. And then...
beautiful costumes and everything that they did. And they have, like, little vents on the back of their, like... I don't even... on their back. Like, on the back of their suit.
Yeah.
And it makes the coolest sound.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. People forget that... like, people have to design sounds. It's called sound design. People have to design sounds for movies, and that sound didn't just happen on set.
Yeah,
like, it's probably silent. That thing probably doesn't make any noise on his back.
Yeah,
someone in a lab with all these instruments had to create a sound for that to happen.
Yeah,
and that applies to the whole movie. The whole movie, both Dunes have ridiculous sound design, And we talked about it in our Dune episode, just like the Baron's shit on his back that clicks.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, dude. Everything. It's everyone.
Everything's
involved.
elevated.
It is operating on the highest level possible.
Yeah.
Everything that they wear, everything that they have, the weapons, the costumes, the sets, it is all to the highest like prestige of execution.
Yeah. So basically the Fremen call sandworms to eat the Harkonnens. They hear it and then they say I can't remember what they say, but there's this big like rock formation.
It says climb.
Yeah, they say climb now, and then they start running up this hill towards this this big rock thing to stand on, and then they fucking start floating up.
Dude,
they hit their side, and then they start floating up, and it is the coolest shit. I saw that and I was like, we're so fucking back.
Yeah,
like
that shot sent me back to there's this big huge wide shot of you see him floating up this like mountain, this thing. Mm-hmm. It took me back to Inception with the hallway scene.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was like. I haven't seen anything like this since like that.
Yeah.
This is the most incredible thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So they're like they're like just using their hands to like smack themselves up.
It looks so good. It looks real. It looks like anti-gravity suits.
Yeah.
Like however they filmed it, it looks insane.
And then
it is beautiful.
Like, oh, they've got these guys on wires. And then right afterwards they peak the mountain and they continue to float forward on their stomachs like seamlessly.
Yeah.
And they go
like
back
pushing off of the rock like they're like underwater and they're like using the ocean floor to like push them along.
And then they go back to standing and then they hit their side and they're back to standing. I was like, how do you
the sound when they hit their side, awesome.
Yeah.
Just cool little awesome dude noise.
Yeah.
When you hit their side.
But I was like, Denis built anti-gravity suits.
Yeah.
Denis built jetpacks for these guys.
I have to remind myself that it's a movie when I watch it, dude. Like, I'm like, oh, those aren't real Harkonnens, and that's not anti-gravity. Like, this is fiction.
Yeah. Dave Bautista isn't pale.
Yeah. I love the opening scene, and then they get to the top of the rock formation, and then they all start getting sniped. They all start getting pieced.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love how it's silent too, and you just hear like a.
Yeah.
And then you see a little hole in the guy's head and he floats down and then Paul and Jessica are down on the ground and then all the Harkonnen bodies start falling down, slamming against the ground.
Chair in the theater fucking shaking.
Yeah.
As each body just like from like 100 feet up.
Yeah.
Splat down.
Brutal sound design. And I love like an accurate, not that I watch like real body videos of bodies, falling off of buildings, but that's how it looks,
dude. Take a raw chicken breast in your hand and smack it down on like a wood floor as hard as you can. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, like I don't watch people die for a living, but I can tell you that's how it looks when someone falls off a cliff. Like that's how it looks. So and then you get this little Paul 1v1 fight with this guy. They race towards this knife, and Paul pieces him.
Yeah,
as you do, and then. Pans up, guy at the top of the hill is about to piece Paul. Jessica says "fuck you," bashes his brains in.
Bashes his fucking brains out with a rock.
I'm just gonna bash him right the fuck in.
Yeah. And that's something else too. Just talking about that one-on-one fight. The fight choreography in the movie is really good.
So fucking good.
So good.
It doesn't even need to be. It could be horrible. Like the movie's great without it, and they also just have great hand-to-hand combat.
I was like, I wonder with all this. I don't know. It seemed like in Dune 1 there wasn't a ton of like one-on-one stuff except for towards the end when he fought Jamis, yeah. And then like there's not that many cuts, and he's just fucking and they're just slinging knives at each other. Yeah. And it looks like people actually trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Not like fighting overhead and doing shit that doesn't make
weird
sense.
Lightsaber moves that make no sense.
It's two men trying to kill each other is what you're watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, dude.
It's a lot of like parrying and blocking and like it's awesome.
So good.
So then pretty sure after that they leave, they go straight to I always read it as Siege Tabor, but in the movie they're saying Tabra because it's spelled Tabr.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say Siege Tabor because that's how I always said it, and that's how the audiobook says it. And Tabra sounds weird.
It sounds like something the Freeman would say, though.
You can say it if you want. I feel like I'm going to mess it up if I keep saying it. But anyways, they go to Siege Tabor, and all these people start freaking out. They're saying, "You killed Jamis!" Yeah. And then this one guy's like, "They don't know what they're talking about. Lisan al-Gaib."
Yeah. He was like, they don't know what they're saying, and he gets down and starts like praying towards Paul, and then like you see the places like split in half between people that don't really believe in the prophecy and people that do believe in the prophecy. Mm-hmm. It's just
also like Denis made a lot of changes, and that's new. Like the Fremen being split in half between believers and non-believers is new. Like in the book, pretty much every Fremen believes in the prophecy.
Oh shit!
And he's doing a lot of interesting stuff with that, and like he did a lot with Chani's character too. In the book, she's kind of just like a love interest. And that's kind of it. But in this movie, Denis kind of making her more of a strong character, and she's very grounded in her beliefs on, not putting your faith into a savior and saving yourself.
Yeah.
And she thinks that the Fremen should be freed by the Fremen. And what's interesting is like there's been a lot of discussions about Paul, and most people know Dune's a cautionary tale, and Paul goes down a dark path.
Yeah.
To what extent, a lot of people don't know, and that's fine. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I heard people saying, I forget where I heard it. It was some podcast or YouTube video or something, but people were saying, I think it was TikTok actually, which would make sense because it was fucking stupid. But someone was saying that Paul is evil and doesn't care about the Fremen or Chani and is using them to get revenge for his father. I do not agree at all with that sentiment. Yeah. I think that it's possible to want both. It's possible for Paul to care about the Fremen, care about Chani, and also want revenge for his father. I think both of those things are true.
Yeah.
And he does have a dark side, like you see when his mom said, "Your father didn't believe in revenge," and he's like, "Well, I do."
Yeah.
So he isn't his father, and he does have his darker tendencies, but that doesn't mean he's using the Fremen. I firmly believe he did have good, like in this movie, he has good intentions.
Yeah.
Like he wants to free the Fremen, and,
Paul doesn't want...
And he doesn't want to lead.
Yeah, he doesn't want the power that people are trying to give him.
Yeah. That's
at
his
every
whole...
step he's trying to say no, like, I'm not the guy. I just want to fight. I just want to stop the Harkonnen. That's all. Like,
and in the first movie, like, they believe what they've been told to believe. Like, he's very firm on all that. He doesn't like any of that shit, and he doesn't want to lead. He just wants to join the Fremen and fight with them, and if the chance arises, avenge his father.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Big deal.
And there's so much cool shit in this movie. Like you said in Dune 1, they believe what they've been told to believe, but there's a lot of like religious aspects that Chani talks about with like she was like, if you what did she say?
If you tell them a Messiah is going to come to save them, they're just going to sit there and wait.
Yeah, they'll wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, dude. And it's almost like religion's being used as a weapon against them.
Yeah.
Like they're sitting there waiting for this Messiah that might not come, and she's like, we can like, we'll just fight.
Yeah.
We should just go over there and attack them.
We can handle this tactically right now ourselves instead of just waiting around like idiots, waiting for a Messiah to come.
Yeah.
And it's a good time to bring it up, I guess, now that we're talking about this, because you were saying that they're using religion as a weapon, which ties back to the scene with Jessica and Paul when they're about to ride south, and they're like off by themselves. People are getting ready, and Paul's like, it's really sad, like what you've done to these people.
Yeah.
Because the Bene Gesserit created the prophecy, and they're the people tying the Fremen down by this belief that there's going to be some Messiah to come to save them. And she said, we've given them hope. And then obviously it's in the trailer. Everyone knows it. That's not hope.
Oh my God.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome line delivery. Timmy's the fucking man. Yeah. But also someone on Twitter, it was kind of a joke, but someone on Twitter was like, he didn't have to shout that. Like he didn't have to shout at his mom. And I was like, he's not shouting. Like he's upset about his mom, but he's mad about his role to play in this. He's mad that he's been put in this situation, and because he's been hearing this, he was hearing this in part 1. Like he's hearing, all these people looking to him to be a savior, and he doesn't want to be.
Well, it's everything now. It's everything. He's been affected. He's supposed to be the savior he doesn't want to be. But now he's spent time with the Fremen. He's growing attachments with them, and he's seeing like they have been enslaved because of this prophecy that he knows was forged by the Bene Gesserit.
By the Bene Gesserit.
So they have been suffering all this time for something that he doesn't really even believe in and want to be a part of because of stuff that's been put in place.
Yeah.
And
the Bene Gesserit serve themselves.
Yeah.
They Dr. Yui says it in part 1. He whispers it to Paul like right before the Gom Jabbar scene, and he's saying like I don't remember the exact line, but he says the Bene Gesserit,
I think he says those exact words. He says they serve themselves.
Yeah. They have their own plan, and they don't have the best interest of humanity in mind. They're witches.
Yeah.
Like that's what they are. Like they're not good people.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense why they would create a prophecy like that. And
I kind of thought my prediction going into this, not knowing anything, I thought Paul was going to leverage his power to kill the witches. But that's what I thought going into it. I've been pretty sick if he was like, fucking die.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I can't say anything. I read the book, so
yeah, I know.
I didn't have any theories like that. But when I was reading the book, like I guess I won't get into that. I don't want to. I don't know what people know for sure based on watching the movies.
Okay.
I don't want to like confirm anything. I don't know. Anyways, but
yeah, the scale of what's been happening with this prophecy and how it's affecting the people is at full display.
Mm-hmm.
You see the big divide in the Fremen between, I think the Southerners like.
They're big believers in the prophecy.
Yeah, the Southerners believe a lot, and the Northern tribes don't really believe in the prophecy and the Savior.
And so Paul's afraid to go south because he knows that the fundamentalists are there, and he's basically gonna, they're gonna latch on to him, and he's gonna start to become what he doesn't want to.
Yeah, that, and he's getting these visions throughout the movie of, people dying
and people starving,
people dying in his name and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't want that.
No.
That's why the people saying that he's evil is kind of nuts, because he spends most of the movie avoiding moving forward, because he knows that if he does move forward and go south, that there's no going back, and that the war is going to happen.
Yeah. So that's what's so cool about Dune and about Paul Atreides as a character, because he's a really tragic character, because you've seen him from when he was 15, when he was just a young lad, and you see that he's a good kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good kid with a good heart that has good intentions, who is basically, once he has drinking the water of life, like, he can see the future, and he knows what he's supposed to become and what he is going to become.
Yeah.
And he can't really like stop it. And a lot of the movie is him trying to avoid it and just join the Fremen, fight the war with them, and that's it. But once he drinks the water of life, he sees possible futures, and he's pretty much like Doctor Strange in Infinity War when he says there's one possible way we win this. And like he says, I see a narrow way through, which is a lot cooler
Another fucking great line to delivery.
Yeah. Of a lot cooler way of saying there's one possible way to win.
Yeah.
So basically he knows he doesn't want to do it, but he knows what he has to do to win this war, so he does it.
Yeah.
And
it's very Shakespearean, everything that goes on with it.
Yeah.
It's a tragic character fighting his own destiny. Well, typical like Hamlet, like his destiny's laid out before him. He tries to defy it, and it winds up putting him back where it was laid out.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul is trying to like escape what his fate is pushing him towards.
Yeah.
And I think that adds more to the tragedy of what's going on. Like he doesn't want to do this, but there like once he takes the water of life, there is no other option.
Yeah.
That they don't come out on top.
Yeah. He has to accept his destiny.
His life is written in the stars of like what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Frank Herbert describes it in the novel many times as his terrible purpose.
Yeah.
Which is just a great way to put it. So it's going to be impossible to like go scene by scene through the movie linearly, because I'm going to forget stuff. We're going to miss stuff.
Yeah.
But I took some notes, and they're all out of order because I didn't take them during the movie. I took them just like whenever I thought of them.
One day.
Yeah. So I have some just random thoughts that I want to give. First one, I wish towards the end of the movie, when they were in the, not exactly sure where you call it, but the scene when Paul turns into a badass and starts calling people out.
That's when he's in the South. They're in
the South, but like I forget what that place is called, but they're in the little Fremen place.
Yeah.
And Chani is like upset, and she starts walking away, and then she starts yelling and saying this prophecy is how they enslave us. And then Gurney yanks her down.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to have more of a moment right there and give have an opportunity to give a longer speech and really like let her heart out on how she feels about it and try to sway people in her direction.
Yeah.
And I don't like that the second she started like really speaking out, even though she was doing it earlier with like the smaller group of Fremen.
Yeah.
Like she was arguing with Stilgar and stuff, and she's been very firm on it, but like all the Fremen were there, and not all of them, but a lot more than normal.
Yeah, she's very outspoken.
Yeah. A lot more than normal, and I would have wished she could have gotten like at least a minute or two of like her, really like fighting against it and getting her speaking her piece and trying to sway people in her direction, but instead she instantly gets yanked down. Not a huge fan of that move.
Yeah.
But a big one for me, I'm very mixed on Austin Butler in the movie.
I have some stuff jotted down too. I wanted to see if we came up with the same stuff, but I heard a guy say that he thought Austin Butler was easily one of the best performances of the movie.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Austin Butler is a lot of people's like favorite parts of the movie.
For me, I mean, I thought it was. I mean, it's easy Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I mean, the whole cast is great.
Yeah.
I think Timmy's the best performance in the movie, and second is probably Chani.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know. That's a different conversation, but everyone's pretty much unanimously in love with Austin Butler's performance, and something about it to me like feels off. And I think some of it is his accent being inconsistent, and it sounds different a lot in different parts of the movie, because there's scenes where he just sounds like the Baron.
Yeah.
And if it's an over shoulder dialogue and you're not looking at the character, you can't really tell who's talking.
Yeah.
If it's the Baron or Feyd-Rautha. But there's times like when he's on Arrakis and he's questioning the Fremen girl. She kills like 9 of their men, and then he's about to torture with a flamethrower. But he starts talking almost like Hispanic.
Yeah.
And he goes, "We already know everything we need to know."
Yeah.
Like, what? That's not how you were talking earlier.
Yeah.
So it really like takes me out. He also, there's a line where he sounds like Pennywise.
Yeah.
And
which one was that? Because
I think it was when him and the Baron were like kneeling down to the Emperor.
Oh yeah.
It was something he said in that scene when like they smacked the Baron over the head for being silly. But his accent comes and goes, and it's very inconsistent to me. And I don't really want to blame Austin Butler. I think Austin Butler is great, and I like him as an actor a lot, and I like him as a person a lot. So I don't really want to blame him. I think he did his best, but I also think some of the writing I wasn't a fan of for Feyd, because I think
I know what you're gonna say.
I don't know if you do. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
There's one line that I really don't like.
What?
It's when Timothy says, "May thy knife chip and shatter," and Feyd just repeats it. I was like, you could have said something.
That wasn't what I was talking about, but I mean, I thought he was going to say something cooler.
I did too.
I mean, it doesn't feel out of character to just mock him, but it's also like, I think the line that bothers me more is right before that, when he says, "Good to finally meet you, cousin," and then he says, "Cousin, is that right? Well, you wouldn't be the first relative I killed."
Yeah.
What?
Also,
that feels very Marvel movie.
Why do you believe him too?
I mean, Paul wouldn't lie.
He's never met the guy. He's a terrorist to Feyd. He's a terrorist.
I don't mind "May thy knife chip and shatter," because I think it's kind of funny, and it is in his character, I guess, to mock him. But like, you wouldn't be the first relative I killed is just a little much, especially when they already said earlier in the movie that he killed his mom.
Yeah.
So you're just like doubling down on it. But so the writing for Feyd-Rautha, I really wanted him to be like a menace.
Yeah.
Like, he should be someone who feeds off of they mention how he feeds off of pain, and like he loves the rush of like feeling pain. And you see him fighting in the arena against people. Someone's got a knife an inch from his head and he's laughing.
Yeah.
And like, that's awesome. I love when he starts laughing when the guy's about to kill him. But basically, when he fights these people in the arena, they're drugged. And one of them isn't drugged and puts up a fight against him. He ends up killing him. He goes to the Baron and he goes, "I ought to drown you in that tub." And to me, that makes him look like a bitch. Yeah. That, first of all, he's fighting drugged slaves, like,
and then he's upset.
He's upset that one of them wasn't drugged, and like, this should be a guy who, like, his gift from the Baron for his birthday gift should be the Baron sending the best of the best at him to give him some competition and to really feed off that.
Yeah,
and not be a little pussy boy and need drugged slaves. Not even like fighters, just like slaves that they found, like Atreides slaves.
Yeah.
And
well, I think they were like soldiers.
They were, yeah. I mean, they were soldiers, but like,
and people like, they talk about how House Atreides had some of the best like military fighters.
Yeah, that's fair.
Trained by Gurney and Duncan. So I get the threat that they imposed, but them being drugged takes me out of it. I do really like him taking off his shield, though.
Yeah.
That was badass.
Yeah, that was cool. And I know that them being drugged is just supposed to enforce, like, how crooked and, you know, how crooked the Harkonnens are and all that. But, like, to me, it was like, it just makes Feyd-Rautha not as cool of a character to me. He should have been an absolute menace who fears no one, who feeds off of, pain, who feeds off of attacking the best of the best, knowing that he's the best, and wanting anyone to challenge him. Yeah. That's the character that it should have been, but instead he's fighting drugged slaves, and then gets mad at the Baron. And in the book, Feyd's very loyal to the Baron, and I guess you see that later in the movie when they kiss. But like,
fucking hell of a kiss, dude.
Yeah.
I wish I was the Baron.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that Feyd could have been a cooler character, and been more menacing at the end. Like, I'm not really afraid of him at the end of the movie. Even the first time I saw it, I'm like, what? I mean, like, what has he really done for me to be afraid?
I wanted him to have like a Bane screen presence. Yeah. Of like, when you see Feyd, you're like, holy fuck, he's gonna do something. Yeah. But he didn't really have that.
And he doesn't have enough screen time either. He's a small character. Like, he's not the main villain of the book. Like, he's just some side villain, like, who's in like 3 chapters of the book. So, I don't really know. I think I have some problems with the writing. I think he could have been a lot better villain. He needed more screen time. But also, I feel like the performance is a little inconsistent at times. But I enjoy him. But I don't think he's like one of the best parts of the movie for me.
He's really good. Close. And I only picked up on his accent wavering like a handful of times. So it's not like every scene it's like something totally different. You know, for the most part, he just sounds like the Baron, with a couple of scenes of him sounding kind of Hispanic and a couple scenes of him sounding like some weird guy. Overall, he still did a really good job. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was something. Once you told me about the Hispanic thing, I can never unhear it now.
Yeah, I want y'all to pay attention next time you watch it. The scene when he's on Arrakis and he's about to kill the Sol Fremen, like, just listen. He has a hinge of Hispanic in his accent, and which is okay if he does it the whole time, but he doesn't. I mean, he sounds different in almost every scene, so that kind of bothers me, kind of takes me out of it. It just feels like acting to me. It doesn't feel like a character. Like, when you watch The Dark Knight, that doesn't look like acting. That doesn't look like Heath Ledger acting. It looks like a character. And for me, even people without makeup or anything, like, to me, Timmy in that movie is Paul Atreides. Yeah. And Zendaya is Chani, and they're giving great performances. But for me, Austin Butler, it just looks like Austin Butler in a bald cap acting. It doesn't feel like a character.
I wonder if they'd gotten, like, if they wanted him to sound like the Baron, like, why don't you just get, like, Alexander to be Feyd? Because he sounds like Stellan.
Well, Feyd's supposed to be young. He's supposed to be, 18.
Oh, okay.
But Austin Butler's like 28. But I guess, who cares? I think Alexander's like pushing 40 though, so I don't know if that would work.
God, he's a hot 40, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I wish they could have found somewhere to put him in though, because he's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, next note I have is fucking Stilgar. Stole the show.
Dude.
Stilgar's the fucking GOAT.
Javier is incredible.
Some of the best, like, comedic timing, and he's such a he's most of the comedy in the movie is Stilgar, with his fascination with Paul being the Lisan al-Gaib. Yeah. And dude, like, there's a scene when Paul's like, you're right, I'm not the Messiah, like, I'm just here to help, I just want to join the war with you. And it cuts, and Stilgar's off by himself talking to his Fremen homies. Yeah. And he's like, the Mahdi is too humble to admit he is the Mahdi, which is exactly why he is the Mahdi.
Paul says he's not the savior. It's the next scene of him having a little meeting with the boys.
Yeah. Instantly like, cuts to that.
He's too humble to admit it, further proving that he's him. And then he does like
dude, every time something happens in the movie related to Paul, he goes, as written. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the fucking man.
He fucking loves.
He loves him some Paul.
Dude. Yeah.
I tell you.
He's so good.
That like late in the movie when the Emperor's coming down and he goes, right on time, just as you foresaw.
Yeah.
And you looked at Paul.
Yeah. Just as you foresaw.
Just as you foresaw, Muad'Dib. Yeah, Stilgar is so fucking funny. That little speech he gives him when he's about to go into the desert, and he's like, "Don't listen to the jinn. The ghost spirits. They
whisper to you.
Boo!
Yeah.
No, but seriously, don't listen to them.
No, they are demons. So.
yeah, don't listen to them.
Little centipedes.
Yeah. It's so funny, and it never feels marvelly. It never like sacrifices the movie. It's just perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Fits his character. And at the end of the movie, like we're jumping around, but once he kills Feyd-Rautha and he goes, Lisa Nagaib!
The second
out of nowhere
Feyd falls over, he goes, Lisa Nagaib! He's like, and then they're about to go to war, and they're all getting on ships, and he goes, everyone on! Lisa Nagaib!
Lisa Nagaib!
Screaming it at the top of his lungs.
Stilgar is the fucking man.
He's the number one fucking hype man, dude. I want him in all my parts.
Everyone needs a Stilgar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Stilgar the GOAT. Harkonnen jetpacks go hard. We talked about it.
Yep.
I don't know if they're not really jetpacks. I didn't know what anti-gravity buttons. I don't know. Jetpacks.
Because I thought they were just initial like fall arrests to like fall from a far distance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I've seen them used to go up.
Yeah.
Like we've only seen them descend.
They're basically just like anti-gravity.
Yeah.
Like either way you need it, they're just anti-gravity.
Yeah.
The first time I watched the movie, I didn't know what was going on, but the Fremen breathing tubes on their heads when they're hiding in the sand.
Yeah.
That is fucking gnarly. Not in the book.
You know
that Denis created that.
That's awesome. But when I first saw that, I was like, this is sick. But it didn't register to me that when the mouse came near Paul's, he went, get out of here.
Yeah. He's like, go away. Yeah. I didn't hear it the first time. I heard someone say something, but I didn't know who said it and what they said. And then the second time I watched it, and it was Muad'Dib fucking with his breathing tube. And he's like, go away. Yeah. And then later in the movie, they're like, Muad'Dib likes Paul's scent or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, what are they talking about? Like, the first time I was like, what are they talking about? I don't know. It was
him. He's laying down in the sand.
Yeah. So that's really funny. But those breathing tubes, I don't remember them being in the book. And that also is great because you always see the Fremen, like, come out of the sand, which logically doesn't make any sense because how do they breathe?
Yeah.
So they cleared it up. Like, they explained that's how they do sand attacks.
With those things, but you never see, like, the stems sticking out of the sand when they pop up.
Yeah.
So it's just another cool level of like that's like everything they have on them, everything the Fremen carry around on them
has use.
Yeah, is all shit that they use. It's all their stuff.
Yeah. And so that attack, the attack on the first attack on like the Harkonnen, like spice harvester, does kind of come out of nowhere in terms of the pacing. Like I understand if people have a problem with that, but it's fucking awesome. That attack is gnarly. It's basically like when it starts and the Fremen jump out of the sand, there's like a 20-second long take of like them running and taking out the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And
I love that sequence.
Yeah. And then you've got Chani with the rocket launcher trying to take down the helicopter. Paul goes and pieces up the guy, and then the other one starts running towards Chani. He yells her name.
Fucking
tubes him. She tubes him
last. Yeah. She beams him into the side of the fucking harvester, dude.
Yeah. And then they reload. Paul has this little plan. He's going to distract the helicopter, and then she's going to shoot it. The ornithopter. Sorry.
Yeah.
What am I? Duh.
I like that his plan didn't work out.
Yeah,
too.
he goes, shit, as he's running.
He's like, I'm gonna run to the other leg, and
the other leg lifts up.
As midway through he's running, it lifts up. And he's like, shit.
Yeah. But I love when Chani shoots down their plane. It goes silent, and then you see her running along the sand, and she lets out this little giggle, and it's really cute, and it's really funny.
I don't think I ever
she
noticed
shoots it down, and she starts running, and she goes, and then the helicopter the ornithopter crashes down and explodes, and then Hans Zimmer's score goes nuts the second it hits the ground. Boom,
dude.
And right before that, you hear Chani just a little giggle, like as she's running away, just so happy, and I love it. I love that little giggle that they left. I love
the reveal of the shot that she took, because you see through the ornithopter like gunner perspective. You see them,
it pans back to her.
To Paul, and he hides under the leg, and then it goes back to Chani, and then you see her, and she like raises her head up from her rocket.
Yeah, like it's already done, like she's already shot it, and then it pans over,
and you see it fucking sticking into the side of their shield, and he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. That whole Harkonnen attack is gnarly,
and that score, the ornithopter attack score,
absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know what you're doing.
It's insane. Like his score is fucking insane.
If I made Dune 2 and Hans Zimmer was like, check this out, and he played that, I'd fight him. I'd be like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You're insane.
Next note I have is just, I love the shot when Paul's about to ride the worm, and he sets the thumper, he gets to the top of the dude, and then it's like a long take of him like slowly walking to the right, and you see like the worm sign in the back.
Yeah.
Of the back, in like the back of the image, like coming towards him. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love when you can incorporate like something in the front of the frame, like a real shot in the front of the frame, and then something like some visual effects in the back of the frame that lines up perfectly and looks right. I don't know. I love that shot. Getty Prime, black and white.
The Black Sun.
Yeah. In the trailer, we just assumed like, for some reason there's a section of the movie that's in black and white.
Yeah.
And we come to find out it's not in black and white. Technically, in the canon of the story, it's being shot in color. But their planet has a black sun that makes everything black and white.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
Their fireworks are black ink blobs.
Yeah.
That just shoot at the sky.
Holy shnikes,
dude! And the score, the Harkonnen score. Let me give you a little taste of this.
Give the people a taste.
That's dude. Hans is on another fucking planet right now. He needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
The whole Harkonnen arena thing with Fade Ralpha fighting the three gentlemen. Fucking awesome. Even though I don't like that they're drugged, I've talked about that, but it's still an awesome scene. I love the way it looks. They shot it with infrared cameras.
Oh my god.
Because it's a very different look. It doesn't look like normal black and white.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like someone shot a movie in color and then just made it black and white later.
Yeah.
It has a very distinct look because they shot it in infrared cameras. And it gives the skin like a very like Denis describes it as translucent.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I would call it translucent, because in it, to me, that would mean you're seeing their veins and stuff. But it gives it a very weird, like alien-looking texture.
They look like the guys. They look like the Prometheus guys.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, and it looks so fucking cool, and it was such a great creative choice. Yeah. So then, once you see them indoors, like you see their normal skin color.
Because you see Fade. He's waiting to like go out into the arena, and he's in normal color grading, and then he steps out into the arena and he turns like full like pale black and white.
Yeah,
and I was like, my god.
One specific shot I put in my notes that I wanted to talk about was just at the end of that fight when he pieces up the three guys in the arena and he's walking out. Hans Zimmer plays this score that is ungodly. And it's a silhouette shot of Fade walking back in from the arena. and it's silhouette. You can't. It's just like an outline of him, and it's slow motion. Him walking back in with the Harkonnen Arena theme playing. Let me see if I can get it right. This.
Dude.
It's him walking back into that.
Yeah.
It gets me so fucking hard. It is so cool, dude. I would watch an entire movie on just Getty Prime. It is so fucking cool.
And something else it does with the infrared cameras is like it gives everyone black teeth too.
Well, he just has black teeth.
I don't think he does. Because that lady, I always forget her name. What's that lady's name?
Who?
The one on Getty Prime that meets with Fade Ralph, though.
Lady Finring?
Yeah. Like the gaps in her teeth are like black. They're like enhanced.
I'm going to look up Fade Ralph versus Paul because I'm pretty sure he just has black teeth. It kind of looks like he's like he doesn't have teeth in this scene.
I'd know for a fact whenever they're fighting in Getty Prime he's got black teeth, but I don't think he normally does.
He doesn't really show them in this scene.
Yeah.
But they're black.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought that was like an effect from the infrared cameras. Oh, yeah.
No, he's just got black teeth.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, crazy character design. But yeah, Getty Prime is awesome. I love every scene on Getty Prime. Fucking, let me see what more we got. Jumping all over. But I love at the end when he pieces up Fade Ralpha, and then he walks back to the Emperor and holds out his finger for the Emperor to kiss his ring. And Paul's sitting there, there's no score, and he's just breathing.
Yeah.
And it's a very small detail, but I love that shit.
Yeah.
He's sitting there holding out his ring. And they hold it for like 15 seconds. Yeah. And I think that shit is so gnarly.
And he fucking stomps on the ground, dude, pissed off.
Doesn't even say anything.
Like, fucking do it.
Yeah.
And the Emperor fucking walking gets down on his knee and kisses the ring. Dude. He bitched you. He bitched you in front of everyone.
I guess we can, while we're here, we can talk about the finale. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. That's actually a note that I had was like the death of the Baron being pretty quick. Like I knew the Baron wasn't going to be like some boss battle, right? He's a big fat guy that floats around. But but I wasn't expecting him to get hit on the back of the head by some other person and then Paul coming in and just stabbing him. I did love the line of him saying, "You die like an animal."
Yeah.
You fucking filthy bastard.
Yeah. Didn't he say that about his dad? About Leto?
I don't remember.
I think that's a callback to something. I remember somebody in Dune saying, "You die like an animal." I don't know.
I don't know if Paul's ever been face to face with the Baron before, though.
I don't remember. I think it's a callback to something though. But I don't mind the way the Baron died. I think it's actually pretty sick. I was really confused the first time I watched the movie why people all the Harkonnens and Sardaukar just let Paul walk in and kill the Baron and leave. I was like, what? This is who y'all have been looking for. Like, go kill him. What are y'all doing? Just standing there. And then it took me a second watch to realize, like, oh, they're outnumbered.
Yeah.
Like, the Fremen fucked up. The Worms and the Fremen fucked up their entire army. Yeah. And Paul has the numbers on them.
Yeah.
So
everything's been gobbled up.
They may be able to kill Paul, but all of them are fucking dead if they kill Paul.
Yeah.
So...
And that was kind of like the plan that they had hatched was... After they spoke, they can't kill Paul because that would just that would make him more powerful.
Killing a religious leader only makes it worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it confused me first watch, and then second watch I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I started thinking about what Gurney tells Paul at the end.
Oh yeah, yeah. So at the end, I heard this from another podcast, so I'm gonna shout them out. There Are Too Many Movies. They're my favorite movie podcast, so I'm not stealing their joke. It's from them, but they were talking about at the end when Gurney asks Paul like what to do. Yeah. And he says like, let the great houses know I'm taking over as emperor, basically.
Yeah.
And then and you know, if they don't agree, there's gonna be a war. And Gurney comes back and he's like, yeah, I told him. They said fuck you, Paul. I thought that joke was so funny. But I don't mind the way the Baron died, but I do mind how Raban died. And I thought Raban died way too quick.
That's what. Oh, sorry. Something else I had was, I feel like Raban died quick and the Baron died quick. And then we had a really solid sequence with Fade, which I expected. But
no. More than solid with Fade.
Yeah.
That fight scene is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, dude.
The combat in that scene, and I love when climactic, like fights that have been built up to over a movie, cut the score.
Oh yeah,
like The Dark Knight Rises and the sewer.
Is turned up to 11.
It's so much better without a score. It doesn't seem like it would be. It seems like how could putting a badass score in there not make it better? But it just does. Yeah. Just having intimate fight scenes with no score is so much more intense. And his fight with Fade is awesome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just had to say that. But I understand why Raban was killed so quick, because it's Gurney versus Raban. Raban's a bitch. He's a coward. That's like, you can't really tell as much in part 1, but in part 2 it's blatantly obvious he's a coward. Yeah. He runs away many times. And Gurney's a dog.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
Swordsmen in the galaxy.
Yeah, it makes complete sense why Gurney pieces him instantly. I understand it, but it's also like, this is a movie, and I would appreciate a little more of like a fight.
Yeah.
Than just like him instantly. Like he
like,
dodges one move. Also, you see Gurney Halleck coming towards you to murder you, and you're breaking out nunchucks. That's your weapon of choice.
He had a whip
to defend yourself.
It was a whip.
They were like he was whipping him with it, but they were like nunchucks. Like,
was it?
They're like shaped like nunchucks. They're Dune versions of nunchucks, but like that's your best method of defending yourself.
Either way, it's kind of weird because like throughout the movie he's like a coward and running away, but then Gurney Halleck yells and starts walking towards you with a sword.
Yeah.
And you don't continue to run away.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, I'm so sorry, I'm a coward. I would have been
shiver me timbers.
I would have been out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing I didn't get was like, why didn't he just run away? He's been running away the whole time.
They also put that in the trailer, which kind of sucked, was like Gurney walking up the steps with the army and like Robin and his guys like this is gonna be the face off.
Yeah.
And then Gurney just fucking ate him for breakfast, dude.
Also, one thing I did have been thinking about, which kind of disappoints me, that I haven't really heard anyone say. Almost every one of my favorite moments in the movie was in the trailer. Which is something that like kind of makes you feel like on first watch you're almost going through the motions, which kind of sucks. I mean, think about every good thing in the movie, like every great thing that you think about when you think about Dune 2.
No,
I think about Paul walking out on the ledge in front of all the Fremen and saying, "Long live the fighters," in the trailer. I think about him saying, "I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis," in the trailer. Every moment may thy knife chip and shatter. Gurney and Raban about to fight. Like almost everything that really gets me going was in the trailer, and and to their credit, they made one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Yeah.
They busted out the big guns.
They put asses
and it worked
in seats
because it's also making a ton of money. maybe because of how good that trailer was. So I understand, but also like, damn, like there wasn't really the worm shot, the 3 worm shot from the war. It's like there isn't much in the movie that surprised me because it was mostly in the trailer.
Yeah.
And we saw the worm, him riding the worm in its totality because it was the sneak peek at the end of Dune 1 when we saw it in the re-release. So kind of disappointing that, like, I'd say one of the main things that was like fresh to me, at least visually, that wasn't in the trailer was like the opening scene. Yeah. I don't think there was like anything from the opening scene in the trailer.
Yeah. I think you're right. They did have almost all my favorite shots if I go through the old spank bank in my head of Dune 2.
The overhead shot of him walking through the Fremen.
Dude, that's what I was about to talk about.
That's in the trailer.
That whole sequence, him walking through the overhead shot of him walking through the Fremen, I'm coming.
It reminds me of...
Before that, he's walking, they're looking at him walking up to that place in the south. He's got the fucking hood up. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of a blurry shot, and you see the worm fucking coming up and crashing behind him.
One of my favorite shots in the movie.
It means nothing. It doesn't do anything. But it's the most badass thing I have ever seen in my entire goddamn life.
One of my favorite shots in the movie. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. It's... Who the fuck are you? What are you getting at?
Yeah, I love that shit, dude.
Yeah.
I love Dune Part 2. I love the whole thing. I love every scene. But the last 45 minutes of Dune 2 is like... I'm non-stop coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming for 45 minutes straight. And I fucking love everything that happens in the second half of the movie.
At the end of Dune 2, if like I wanted to have sex, I'd be like, dude, I'm tired.
I'm out.
I'm
all out of juice, honey.
I'm shooting Blake's, honey. That's where it's gone. These puppies are flat.
I might as well be on Arrakis. Yeah, also, Fremen...
I'm preserving my body's water.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Fremen preserve their body's water. They don't cry or anything. So you're telling me the Fremen can't whack off?
Unless they recycle it.
Unless they edge.
Maybe.
That's what they got to do. They do just enough, but then right before they're about to lose their body's water, reel it back in.
Yeah. Reel it back in.
What a bad time if they can't whack off. What's even the point?
I'm real close, and that's just enough to keep me going.
What do you even need the Muad'Dib for? You can't whack off. Your life's meaningless.
Yeah.
So
fucking kill yourself. Also, I got to talk about it, dude. There's a scene throughout the growing love interest between Chani and Paul, and Chani's trying to show Paul how to work this wind harvester, and he's like grinning like an idiot. I was like, dude, you trying to kiss me right now?
Dude, I love
you trying to get my pants?
He was giving her the fuck me eyes.
Timothy Chalamet, if he looked at me like that, if I like saw him in like wherever he was at, if I saw him at a bar and he looked at me, I'd be like, dude. I mean, normally I don't do this kind of stuff, but
I think what I am is I'm a proximity gay. I think on a regular day, I would consider myself heterosexual, but if I got within 15 yards of Timothy Chalamet or Ryan Gosling, my gay switch turns on.
Yeah.
And I'm now a gay.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm going to identify from now on. There's certain people that inside that proximity will activate the switch.
Yeah.
Timmy's one of them.
Instantly turned. I'd be like, I don't know. What are you doing?
You're going to get us in trouble. Stop.
Tim. Stop that. Auga. Fucking Timothy Chalamet's handsome ass.
Okay, what else do I got on here? Fucking... Oh, yeah. I put in here, does Paul care about the Fremen and Chani? Like, to bring up that whole thing I brought up earlier about, Paul's evil and
100%
all that noise. Paul's a very complex character, but he's not evil.
Yeah, no.
At least not in these movies that we're watching. He's not.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what we can say for sure. Like, he's an anti-hero, but he does have morals, and he does have a good side, and it's not just all some part of some evil plan.
The dude's like on his knees crying about what he knows is going to happen, and Chani's like, I'll always love you, and he's like, then I will go and I'll do what I know needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And he goes and fucking dies. Goes, drinks the water of life, dies, fulfills the prophecy.
Also,
to continue,
dude, when he drinks the water of life, and Chani brings him back to life, she gets mad, she slaps him, she leaves. But we get a sick ass shot to
dude,
Hans Zimmer's score.
Talk to me about it.
Hans Zimmer's score called Resurrection, and it's Paul standing up after being resurrected and looking over his shoulder to this.
Oh my god, dude!
Came in my pants,
and it's of course it's Stilgar stared at him with his mouth gaping, and he's like, "Holy fuck, dude, this is our guy."
Lisan al-Gaib. Yeah, that shit's fucking gnarly. I guess I want to talk about some of my favorite moments in the score. Warm Army is absolutely ridiculous, and the second half of Warm Army has a moment that gets my dick even harder than normal. This is normal Warm Army right here. Absolutely come in my pants.
Yeah.
But there's a part where the drums kick in, and it reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
and the shot in the movie is him walking. It's out of focus, so you can only see like vague shapes.
Yeah.
But it's Paul walking, and then the Fremen like running behind him.
Yeah.
And the drums kick in.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Dude,
it is like that.
It's so fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Are you kidding me, Hans?
Oh, dude.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I forgot about whenever Raban first attacks, like tries to attack the Fremen after their harvest.
And he's asking for Muad'Dib.
Yeah, he's like, show yourself. Fucking, they start ghosting these guys. Dude.
Yeah.
His men, Raban's men, are dropping left and right.
You just hear, and the Fremen are so quiet, you hear a little...
Yeah.
And then
there's
they're
dust
dropped
everywhere from these missiles that got dropped. Everything's blurry and dust. And then all of a sudden, just straight up, like, Paul's walking towards him out of the mist.
You just see a little silhouette. It's like dark. You can't really see who it is. You just see like a cloak. Yeah. And then Raban starts running away. And then you get this fucking shot of a bomb that goes off and lights up his face, and it illuminates his face.
Fucking just God bless, dude.
Dude, this movie's made for me.
Dude, I want to just grab somebody and shake them.
I just want to give somebody a stern talking to.
Yeah, dude.
Just fucking open someone's mail. Yeah.
I want to fucking high five someone. I just want to high five and be like, you see that fucking shit, dude? You fucking see that shit, dude?
Yeah, so I was listening to a podcast recently about Dune 2 from people who are known for not really liking popular new movies. They're like, I'm not going to name names, but you would call them like artsy people. And like, if it's new and popular and everyone loves it, they're going to act like they don't like it. Yeah. And they're going to like weird stuff. And everyone has different tastes. Everyone has different things that they get excited about for movies. And my thing with movies, I love all kinds of movies. I love foreign movies, black and white, doesn't matter. Drama, comedy, sci-fi.
All shapes and sizes.
Any good movie, I'm open to it. If you say it's good, I'm open to it. I'm not closed-minded to anything.
Yeah.
But my favorite types of movies are spectacle movies.
Yeah.
Things that take me to another place and get my blood pumping and have big, high-stake things going on.
Yeah.
And for some people, that does nothing for them. And I was listening to this guy talk about Dune 2, and he said like stuff like that really doesn't do much for him, and he cares more about like the technical aspects of filmmaking, like camera moves and how do you edit a scene and blah 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 and how do you block a scene, and like it just really clicked with me. Like, everyone goes to movies for different things.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'm thinking about when I'm watching a movie is like how it's edited.
Yeah.
And you know, unless something's really bad and I notice it because it's really bad and I'm like, ooh, why'd they do that?
It's like Taken 3 and there's
Yeah.
19 cuts.
Yeah.
I'm picking up an apple juice.
Yeah, but this guy was talking about like, oh, Denis movies are so like, his dialogue scenes are so boring because it's just close up of person A and then a close up of person B and then you just cut back and forth. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm listening to the dialogue, so I don't really
I was gonna
care
say
about
the
how it's
dialogue
framed.
is cool enough that like the dialogue connects with me more than the editing does.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just not even really thinking about that stuff. And I can appreciate great camera moves when they happen and stuff, and one takes, and when you watch stuff like Sam Raimi or Brian De Palma, like, you'll notice certain things that are great about filmmaking, but it's like, when I'm watching a movie like this, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
I'm invested in the story and in the spectacle, and that's why I love Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve, because they make sci-fi movies, but they make movies with huge scale that transport me to another place.
Yeah.
And that's just, what I like.
Yeah.
Personally.
No, I'm right there with you, dude. It's so good. And like I said, this is just the A team of like a group of people doing everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think that I really don't have any flaws with Dune and Dune 2.
No,
they're
I don't either.
fucking perfect. Timothée Chalamet is perfect as Paul Atreides.
He's going to go down as one of the best castings of all time.
Yeah, I think he's such a tremendous actor, dude. And honestly, everything he does, the amount of like emotion that he's able to give off, like just the very end of him looking at Chani and he's like, "I will love you as long as I breathe," and like walks away. I was like, dude, love me, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Timmy is such a talented actor. He's becoming just one of my favorite actors. The amount of work he has under his belt at just the age of 27, and I mean he's showing so much range with all of his roles, and I mean just within a span of a couple months he's been Willy Wonka and Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
Like, that tells you all you need to know. Dude, the scene in the Fremen temple at the end when I was talking about, when Chani starts to give her speech and gets dragged down, when he walks the fuck in there, and first of all, he just looks like a badass walking in there. Yeah. He's just got that look on his face, like he knows what he's about to do. And he goes in there and starts speaking Fremen. He starts speaking Chakopsa, and I don't know the words, obviously, because he's speaking Chakopsa, but he basically goes in there like, Kuki Nakatoka!
Yeah, dude.
And he fucking sells it.
That's what
like,
I was
he's
gonna
so
say.
menacing, and he has such a screen presence about
I would
him.
have never believed, like,
someone with his frame.
Watching Wonka, like, Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah. He weighs 110 pounds soaking
he's
wet.
Rail thin. He's got gorgeous hair.
Yeah.
And he is so intimidating, dude.
Yes, dude.
He says the words in like whatever language, but what he's saying is there is no one here
in this room who can challenge me.
Yeah. And I was like, I would have sat the fuck down,
dude. And I love his performance in the movie and in that scene. The screen presence he has and the command that he has in that scene is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I love that entire scene. I love how he singles out that one guy and says something he could not know unless he was Muad'Dib. And he convinces everyone, and then he gives his speech, "I'm Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis." Oh, that's my fucking shit.
He
right
says
there,
your parents told you to fear my coming or something like that. I was like, ugh,
yeah.
Dude, that's some Old Testament shit, dude.
Give me that. Is fucking gnarly, dude.
That's probably his speech at the temple is my favorite sequence in like the entire movie.
Yeah, it's probably mine
When
too.
you have an entire war that goes on, and a speech is the part that I'm like latched onto, you've got something incredible, dude.
Yeah,
something incredible.
That scene is fucking crazy. I love it.
I'm crossing my legs in public if that scene's playing. That's all I'm saying, dude.
I lead the way. Are you fucking joking me?
And then still goes, Lisma Gaib. On his knees. Lisma Gaib.
Yeah. Do you really think I would deprive myself of one of our best?
Yeah.
Do you smash a knife before battle? God, that's fucking...
What a fucking idiot, dude. That guy's a moron.
Fucking call him names.
Yeah. If I was at that meeting and he said that to him, I'd be like, yeah, fucking sit down, dumbass. Listen to the one deep here.
Also, consider what you are about to do, Paul Atreides. Silence!
Oh my god. Abomination.
Dude, and the little look Fade Ralph gives him, like, oh fuck. Oh shit.
This guy means business.
When you make a literal psychopath, like, impressed.
Kind of tingled his nuts a little bit whenever he hit her with the voice.
Yeah. That's also, I thought it was obvious, but that's a callback to the first Dune. We saw it with my buddy who's like not really into movies, and I had to explain to him that was like a callback to the Gom Jabbar scene when he was like, he was speaking out, like he was making noise when he had his hand in. He was like, and she went silence. You know, so that was a fucking awesome.
He goes, "You dare use the voice on me?"
Yeah.
I could. That's what I was saying. Like I was writing this stuff down, and I was like, "Dude, I could rant for hours talking about each scene from this movie, how incredible it is, the way it made me feel. Like it's. I honestly am still in disbelief that I've seen what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and there's too much. There's too much to praise that it's like we're gonna miss something.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to. I typically don't like to partake in overhyping stuff and having recency bias, but it just happens to be that this is right up my alley.
Yeah,
like this is the shit that I like. This isn't some phase. 4 years from now, Dune Part 2 is going to be one of my favorite movies. I can tell you that. Yeah. Like, this is the shit that I like.
No, I think like the trilogy is going to be something that people talk about for a long. Like, I think the Dune trilogy is going to be like people are going to talk about that the way they talk about Lord of the Rings now.
Yeah, and in Star Wars. Yeah, even though it's better than both. That's just how I feel about it. It's my preference. But Lord of the Rings is a real fucking masterpiece of a trilogy. And yeah. I understand why people love it, and I do love it. But Dune is more for me. Yeah. It's more my thing.
No, I'm right there with you. If someone wanted to say that Lord of the Rings was better, I would be like, you know what? That's your opinion, man. But the Star Wars shenanigans, cut the crap, okay? We're done with
this crap.
We're done with this fucking game that you're playing.
Yeah.
I've had it up to here with these guys.
Yeah.
And it's over. I just saw a sequence from The Mandalorian, their beloved Star Wars franchise, where Lizzo and fucking Jack Black were like throwing food at I don't even remember the fucking thing's name. Baby Yoda. Grogu at a dinner table.
Yeah, that's what you want in Star Wars.
This is your fucking hero? This is your champion?
Is this your king?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah. Not happening, pal.
Star Wars is definitely the most overrated franchise of all time.
Yeah.
There's like 11 movies. Like 2 of them are good.
Yeah, that's solid what I'm saying. Like
solid maybe 3.
I think the MCU has more good movies than they do, and people like a lot of people hate the MCU right now.
Well, the MCU also has a lot more movies.
Yeah.
So I'd hope they have more good movies, but
I think the first 9 movies in the MCU versus the first 9 movies of Star Wars I think you got more hits from the MCU.
Probably, yeah. probably. I don't know. I need to check out Star Trek. I've been wanting to check out Star Trek.
But to what extent?
Like the originals and the new trilogy.
The original movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see those too.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be fun.
I definitely want to watch the new ones because I got the old Chris Pine itch, dude.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Horrible Bosses 2 the other day.
Oh, he's in that?
And he is in it. And he is hilarious in it.
He's awesome.
He's great.
I wanted to watch them right after I finished Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Because he's just so good.
Yeah.
I saw the whole new Star Trek trilogy on 4K at McKay's for like $13.95, and I thought about buying it because it's all on 4K for all 3 movies, $14. Didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Been seeing a lot of crazy stuff recently. Today, I saw The Amazing Spider-Man, like 2-pack.
Yeah.
4K. It's like the digibook kind of thing.
Yeah.
On eBay, they're like $50, and it was $13.
Dude, I'm overdue for a good McKay run.
And I didn't buy it.
You want to go tomorrow?
I don't need The Amazing Spider-Man on 4K. I have it on Blu-ray. That's good enough.
I don't really need it ever.
I like having comic book movies for some reason, even when they're not good. I'm kind of a completionist when it comes to comic book movies, except for like the MCU. I'm just not collecting every MCU movie. I'm keeping the good stuff, and that's about it.
You got your copy of Blank Man in here? Or not Blank Man.
I was about to say,
what is it?
What is that?
Our Dark Man.
I used to have Dark Man. I think I returned it once we watched it.
Hell yeah, you did. Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah. I mean, Dark Man's fun, but I just don't need to own every movie, I'm a completionist about like weird things. Like I want to have every X-Men movie, and I do have most of them, but not every Marvel movie. And I have like the bad DC movies. Well, not bad. Like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, DCU stuff. Don't really need them.
But you got them. Just
but
in
I got
case.
them. Yeah, you never know when you'll need some shit.
Yeah.
But I guess overall thoughts, Dune 2. It's hard to even put into words, but I just think it's something that we're probably never going to get again. Like, this is just the stars aligning on a different level.
Yeah.
It's a studio giving someone a huge budget. I mean, just the cast alone. Like, the fact that we have a cast where Javier Bardem and Josh Brolin are, like, side characters.
Yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, like, they're side characters.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was a secret. Which, it was weird. It was like they weren't revealing she was in the movie, but then they had her show up to the world premieres.
The heck?
So that was like when people found out she was in the movie.
Yeah.
Was when she showed up to like the Mexico City premiere. It was like, so why didn't you just put her in the trailer? I don't know. Denise said like we just wanted to have like a surprise for the fans, like that wasn't in the trailer. And I was like, okay, so don't have her go to the premiere, and then they'll see it in the movie.
Yeah.
But I knew it ahead of time, like before I saw the movie, that she was in it. But I figured it'd be a small role since she's not in the trailer.
Yeah.
And we could talk about like what Denis changed from the book to the movie, but that's sort of spoilers for the book, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of want to read the book. I'm gonna finish Dracula, hit Hail Mary, and then I'm gonna read Dune.
Yeah, Dune is a tough read, but it's a lot easier once you've seen the movies.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt, because I can I'll just picture everyone is who they are in the movies.
Yeah, it helps a lot. I read Dune after seeing the first movie, like instantly after. Like I saw Dune and I was like, holy fuck. I'm gonna go read that. That's really cool. And I wanted to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I had like when it says the Baron, I'm like, my Raucus. Like I know
you
him.
read it as Stellan's voice.
Yeah. And that's what's that's what I kind of don't like about audiobooks, is because when you're just reading it, you can read it in that character's voice.
Yeah.
It says Paul says blank, you're picturing Timothy Chalamet. But when you have the audiobook, it's like some idiot. You hear some idiot reading it. It's like, I wish this wasn't happening.
That does kind of stink. But like I read Norm Macdonald's book on the cruise, and I read it all in his voice.
Yeah,
and
as you would.
And it made it more funny. If you were reading it without his voice, it probably wouldn't have been as funny.
Yeah. Apparently the audiobook to Project Hail Mary is like amazing. Really? I didn't use it. I just read the book, but I can't get into details about like why people like the audiobook so much.
Good
but
voice
apparently
acting?
it's pretty much.
Okay. Is there like with an audiobook, is there like a little production that they do?
Some of them, yeah. Like the Dune audiobook, it's weird. Because it's inconsistent. It's like some chapters have it and some don't. But it seems like during the important chapters of Dune, they have like an audio cast. Like they have a kid playing Paul and a kid playing Stilgar and a woman playing Jessica, and they read their lines. And sometimes you'll even get like some ambient score in the background.
Oh my god!
And like it can be really cool, but it's like a 22-hour audiobook, and they don't do it the whole time. So some chapters is just the guy reading, no music, and sometimes it's the cast. So some audiobooks like go a lot harder than others, because if you have like an actual cast, like that's very immersive when you're listening to an audiobook. And I wish more like movies that did book to screen adaptations like had the actors go and record an audiobook as their characters. I just feel like that would be so cool.
That would be sick.
To have like the Dune cast go record their sections of the audiobooks, because it wouldn't be that much, because most of it is narration. Like 90% of a book is like not dialogue. It's it's
descriptions.
Just have some random guy read it. Yeah. You just have to have them come in and read lines of dialogue, which probably take a couple hours, and they'd be done. And I just feel like that'd be really cool. Like you just have like, film version. You have audiobook film version, and I feel like that'd be cool. I don't know.
That would be really good. There's probably a market for that.
Yeah, I feel like people would read
and just do a markup. Like
their sales would go a lot better. I feel like if it was the cast of the movie.
Yeah, if you did like the film version and then you did like an extra couple bucks for the film version.
Yeah, or do Lord of the Rings and like bring back a Lord of the Rings cast to do an audiobook.
Yeah.
And like read their lines in their voices. That'd be so cool.
Yeah,
I'd buy that instantly.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just giving out free ideas.
Yeah.
Fucking offering free money here.
Yeah. They need to come and pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's something where we don't get very often. It's the stars aligning, a masterful director directing a movie about a book he loves deeply, that he's loved his whole life. An absolutely insane cast. Probably the best working cinematographer, the best working composer. All the stars aligning perfectly. You have emotion, you have romance, you have comedy, you have spectacle. I mean, I don't know.
Dude, when I saw in theaters, when I saw him walking up to the meeting in the South and the worms jumping behind him, my eyes started to like gloss a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there and they started to well up and I was like, this is so fucking good, dude. This is so incredible. And I was like, I got to push it back.
My eyes welled up a couple times. I can't remember when though.
Yeah.
It's normally during big shit like that. Like Long Live the Fighters and fucking the scene we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Paul Moody Betrayed. Fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. So you like this more than the first one?
They are, I think they're perfectly equal to me.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, I'd be fine saying I like the first one more. I'd be fine saying I like the second one more. To me, it doesn't really matter. I think that Denis Villeneuve is going to deliver 3 perfectly executed movies.
Do you think, if you do read Dune, do you think you're going to read Dune Messiah before the movie?
I don't know. I don't know if I...
Because I'm a believer in... I debated reading Dune very hard because I didn't want to ruin the movies for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how am I going to be excited if I know what happens? My experience is it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your excitement at all. And someone actually asked me about that in like a group chat recently. But first of all, movies change a lot. So even if it happened in the book, it doesn't always happen in the movie. But I'm not even thinking about stuff like that. Like, first of all, when you read a book one time, you don't remember everything. Like, you remember vague points.
Yeah.
Like, you remember the overall idea, but you don't remember, specific things. And when I'm watching Dune Part 2, like, I was never once thinking about, oh yeah, that, like, this scene should be coming up. Like, when this happened in the book, that should be coming up. Like, I'm just watching the movie like anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me at all, and it didn't affect my excitement at all.
Yeah.
No, having read the book. So I don't think you have any danger of, like, and I've read Dune Messiah, and it doesn't change my excitement to see Dune Messiah at all. So
I'll probably, if Dune is as good as you say it is, the book, then I'll probably be too excited to not read Dune Messiah.
And I think Denis is gonna improve upon Dune Messiah. There's a big problem I have with Dune Messiah that I'm hoping Denis fixes.
I want to read God Emperor because that's the coolest fucking title I've ever heard.
I found out
life.
People have been talking about Dune so much that I've started to get spoiled on like future books on like TikTok. Not spoiled.
Is God Emperor not the last Dune book?
No, there's 6.
Oh.
God Emperor's 4. But no one really talks about the last 2, but I still may read them.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I can say I've read all the Frank Herbert Dune books. But I know, like, what the God Emperor is now, which kind of sucks.
Is it a cool thing?
I kind of want to say it because I don't know who it is, but I know, like, what it is.
You can tell me.
And it's really interesting. It's really fucking weird.
You can tell me.
Apparently, okay, spoilers, I guess. Vague spoilers for God Emperor of Dune, if that interests you. Apparently, the God Emperor of Dune is a human-worm hybrid. Someone turns himself into a worm.
Dude. They turn themselves into a worm, or do they make a human worm?
I think they make themselves a worm.
That's pretty fucking insane.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I don't know who it is. But I gotta read that. I mean, that's fucking crazy. Crazy.
The big hurdle being Children of Dune.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I didn't care if you told me about God Emperor. Like,
because you don't think you're ever gonna get to it.
If you can't get through it, I'll probably would never touch Children of Dune, dude.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd probably just stop at Messiah. That's where Denis stopping, and that's probably where I'd stop.
Yeah. God Emperor just sounds cool. People say it's really good.
People say it's good. It's some people's favorite Dune book.
I gotta read it. There's no way I can't read it if that's their favorite Dune book.
Yeah.
With a human worm hybrid, dude.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Like, imagine the shenanigans you can get up to if you're a worm. If you're a big sandworm.
What are you doing to turn yourself into a worm? You doing the fly? Are they doing the fly but the worm?
Maybe
they're teleporting.
Yeah. So it made me want to read it more. Like, I was kind of upset that I was like, I'll
tell you what I'll do. I'll read Dune. Spark Notes Children. Just get the bullet points. Then hit up Human Worm Hybrid.
You skipped Messiah, but yeah.
Hit Dune, hit Messiah. Spark Notes Children.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the second half of Children's great. I don't know. I'd say I'm about halfway through, but
I'm waiting anxiously for your answer, because if it's not, I'm going to just skim it.
It's just so dragged out, I think, is my problem with it. It's so like.
What are the last two called?
So it's Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Dune Chapter House.
Heretics sounds
No idea what Heretics or Chapter House is about, but they have pretty like generic names.
Chapter House isn't a very good name.
No. I don't know. But people stand by the Dune sequels, so I don't know. I may have to give them the old read, or maybe once I finish God Emperor, I'll just read the synopsis and see if they sound interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it would be pretty cool to say I've read all 6 Dune books.
Yeah. That'd be the biggest. I've never read like a series of books like that.
And they're pretty long.
Yeah, that's a big boy group of books.
But it's crazy because like, look at Project Hail Mary next to God Emperor of Dune.
Yeah.
Right? Same size
Yeah.
book. I read Project Hail Mary in 3 days.
But
these
crazy.
Dune books, the Children of Dune is taking forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely forever.
This is your second time trying to read it, right?
Yeah. I restarted. I got to some page.
What a miserable existence.
I got to like page 50, took a long break. So when I went on the cruise, what happened was I went on the cruise, read Catcher in the Rye. I was like, that's awesome. Now let me pound out Children of Dune, and then I'll get to Project Hail Mary. Read 88 pages of Children of Dune, and I said, can't do it. I'll come back to this someday. I need something good right now. I'm bored. I'm stuck on a cruise ship. Nothing to do. I need something good. I started reading Project Hail Mary. And I said, man, we are back. This is crazy.
Welcome home.
There's never been more of a jump from me being interested
Yeah.
than going from Children of Dune to...
What if Project Hail Mary isn't even that good of a book, but
no.
your mind is poisoned from Children of Dune?
I know...
That you think it's like a revelation in
I know
literature?
you're making a joke, but Project Hail Mary's reception is like amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Most people who read a lot of books say it was their favorite, like one of their favorite books from last year, which means a lot to like book readers.
Yeah.
Not to people like us because we only read like a book a year, but
If that.
yeah. And people who don't even like science fiction really like it because it's very science and not a ton. There's fiction, you know. There's
More science than
There's
fiction.
crazy shit, but like it is very scientific. They're talking about fucking amoebas and cells and shit. Like it's very scientific.
Oh,
so
dude, that's awesome.
if that's your shit, then
I do like it.
you're
I like
in.
it.
Yeah. So definitely read that. Pretty gnarly. So I guess that's all we have to say. It's my number 1 of the year. As of now, it's my number 5 movie of all time. I know. I know. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe it comes down in the future, and I'm like, man, that was just recency bias.
Where's Dune 1?
But as of now, it took Dune 1's place. So now Dune 1's at 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts that Denis just making the best shit of all time. Like, I don't think people grasp the severity of that. Denis Villeneuve right now is making the best shit of all time, dude.
Yeah. People call you crazy if you say Denis Villeneuve's better than Stanley Kubrick. But Denis Villeneuve's better than Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm sorry that that's a hard pill for y'all to swallow. But that's just the way I feel about it.
That's just where the cookie crumble, man.
I watch a Stanley Kubrick movie and I go, oh, all right, that was good. And I move on.
Yeah.
I never think about it again. Except for The Shining. Shining's awesome. I love The Shining. Watch it every year. But I watch a lot of Kubrick movies that, you know, I watch Dr. Strangelove. I'd be all right if I never watched that again in my life. Paths of Glory, great movie. I enjoyed it. Probably never going back to it. Even Full Metal Jacket, great movie.
Yeah.
Never need to watch it again. Denis Villeneuve makes movies that I constantly want to rewatch.
Yeah. I agree with you. I do like Full Metal Jacket more than you. Like Full Metal Jacket, I like The Shining, and that's pretty much it from Stanley
2001
Kubrick's
really
movies.
doesn't do much for me.
2001
Maybe one day
just-
I'll grow a brain and I'll understand it and I'll like it. But as of now, that movie's very boring to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't offer me much.
I respect the hell out of it for what it is. Like it changed science fiction, but I never want to touch. I don't ever go to my shelf. 2001.
Yeah.
You know. Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, right now, Denis has Prisoners, both Dunes, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049.
Sicario.
And Cindy. The guy's a fucking madman. I would take any of those movies.
And he's 56.
Yeah.
He has. We can hope. If let's say he stops working when he's 85. Like I think Scorsese's older than that. I think he's like 90 or something. I don't know. Let me see how old Scorsese is. That's a pretty good like timetable for how long Denis can work.
I know. I feel like
But
Scorsese
he's got a
is
lot
older than most directors before they retire.
Scorsese is 81. So we'll just say Denis can work till he's 85.
Yeah.
30 more years of this.
God dang, dude.
I mean,
what did we do? What did we do?
dude,
to
we could have
deserve
been
such
born back during the bubonic plague.
Yeah.
We could have been born before America was discovered.
Dude, I could be swapping a poop deck right now.
Yeah. I could be rubbing two sticks together in some cave.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like, we hit the lottery. We're living at the same time as Denis Villeneuve.
And Christopher Nolan.
And Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
We didn't have to go fucking skedaddle our way to the theater and watch Charlie Chaplin movies.
Yeah, dude.
Let me tell you something, see?
I started a movie, but I fell asleep. I started The Sisters Brothers with Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly. And it's a Western, but they walk into the store, and John C. Reilly's like, what's this? And he's like, it's called a toothbrush. And you see John C. Reilly reading the instructions for brushing his teeth. We could have been born then.
Yeah.
People were walking around with stank breath.
Yeah.
And fucking shit in their
People
ass.
didn't have medicine. They didn't know what medicine
Yeah,
was.
dude.
They
If you got
sick, you just died.
yeah, if you got bit
You're
by
just
a
dead
spider,
now.
they're like, fuck, dude.
Sorry, man.
I hope your body fights
Here's your
off that
will.
poison.
Will you go ahead and write everything out?
Yeah. I don't even think they had wills. It was just like, fuck, Jeff died. They take his stuff.
They show up to work. Oh, yeah, Randy died. I don't know.
Like, I wanted that wagon.
Third one this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have been born back then.
Yeah.
But instead, we're witnessing this.
It's,
What made us so lucky? What did us two jerk-offs do to get so lucky?
maybe we're just really cool.
Maybe that's the point here.
Or,
Maybe all of us fellas on the planet right now are just cool fellas,
yeah.
and we just deserve to watch Denis Villeneuve work.
Or this is all part of his plan.
This is all part of his mind control game.
Yeah. To get us all erect at once and destroy the world.
Yeah. He's gonna put a chum bucket hat on us pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, we're yapping. Long episode today, fellas.
That's what happens.
You
shake me to
drop
my
a masterpiece in front of me and my penis gets hard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is just what happens.
When you shake me to my core, I'm going to do some yapping, dude. I'm going to yap and you're going to deal with it. That's what's going to happen.
Mama, the Baron wants to make me bald.
Some
chucklehead named Juan D wants to take it from me. All right. We'll see you next week on The Scoop. We'll be back to our regular schedule. What are we going to talk about? Don't know.
We'll
Probably Dune 2 again. Probably just do another We'll do Dune 2 Part 2.
That'd be
Dune
fucking
2
crazy.
Part 2 Part 2.
Dune 2, The Refresher. Dune 2, Collision Course.
Dune 2 The After Party.
Dune 2, Revenge of the Stinkers.
We'll think of something. Kung Fu
Yeah.
Panda 4's out.
Might dabble.
Might dabble. May watch something good at home. Maybe continue our Michael Mann binge.
Yeah. That's what we need to fucking
Probably what
do.
we should do.
Yeah.
Stop fucking around watching The Insider.
We should probably be responsible adults and finish
Yeah, finish our
Mann's
binge.
movies.
Hey, we had a cruise. You know, it
That's
happens. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode. On the Film Scoop.